Let's start this video off with a contradiction. I am the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor, and I love 21 Pilots. I think they are truly one of the best bands in the world. I think they are totally underrated by snobs like me. I think that Blurry Face is a great album. I think Trench might be one of the best albums of the last decade. The contradiction comes with the fact that I hate Trench. And I love this new album, Clancy, but I hate Clancy. I hate Dima. I hate Nico. I hate the Niners. I hate the whole war and the ARG and the lore. I don't want the lore even a little bit. So to quote Danny Green, that's tough. And what's fun about 21 Pilots is it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter that I don't know anything about the lore of 21 Pilots. I've been listening to them, for 6-7 years now? And my whole family loves their music, all of that. And I don't know anything about Dima or about Nico or about Trench. And what I love is that you don't need to. It's just great music. It's just an excellent drummer and a wonderful bassist. Like the idea that a rhythm section can be a whole band. That can be the basis of what they are. That's just beautiful. And of course their music is very well, sometimes over, but very well produced. And even though it's ostensibly about some mythical war between, some kind of weird religious something or other, and for some reason you gotta draw Sharpies on your neck and stuff. I don't really quite get what it is that it's supposed to be about, but the music holds up. It holds up completely without that, because I think they make some of the best music about being suburban kids, music about being from the Midwest, struggles with mental health, struggles with finding inner peace. The Midwesternness is really one of the things that draws me to them, because there isn't that much art. Considering how important the Midwest is for the United States of America, there isn't that much music culturally that makes it out of the Midwest. And especially to feel so Midwest, to feel so Columbus, Ohio. I have two stories about Columbus, Ohio, but I don't tell those stories on the internet. You have to know me in person. Let's just say, remember that cave in Dagobah where Yoda goes with Luke? That's Columbus, Ohio. I have had some shady times in Columbus, Ohio. That doesn't really matter. Vote for Sherrod Brown if you live in Ohio, okay? But what I love about it is that all of those things, like this feeling of sort of this restless Midwesternness, this inquiry into how to be a good person, the troubles of having an active mind, all these questions are totally universal, and you don't have to get into the lore. One thing that's always struck me about them is come on, everybody. We can say it. They are a Christian rock band. Don't tell anybody. Just because, on average, probably most of the good, if you were to take all of the good music that's ever been made throughout all humanity, probably at least 70 to 80% of it is Christian music. But still, in these days, we don't want Christian rock bands. I have a friend who's a Midwesterner from Omaha. He was in a Christian rock band, Flight Metaphor. Very cool guy. He understands the sort of evangelical world. And I asked him, I'm like, are 21 Pilots claimed by Midwestern evangelicals? And he's like, absolutely. They are. And it's fascinating because they're very careful not to be overtly Christian. But apparently, my friend was telling me that the drummer, Josh Dunn, was played in the band God Save the Foolish Kings, which is a whole different Christian rock band. And the reason that I try and tie this all together, first of all, at some point I'm going to do a video about Christian rock music, because there has to be good stuff, right? We can't just all be hipsters, right? It can't possibly be that it's all bad. It can't all be Creed, right? Anyways, look for that later down the line. I think the Clancy stuff, it sort of fills that hole that's left by not talking about Jeebus, right? By not talking about Christian themes, it's like we still have this external mythology, right? For lack of a better term. I do consider myself a Christian, but I don't proselytize or whatever. But still, we can call it mythology, at least in terms of the way that it works in popular culture. Christianity, any religion, that allows pictorial representations of its figures. You know, they're religious and they're symbols of faith, but they're also part of the mythology. So I think that's maybe sort of the same way that, like, if I get into a Christian rock band, maybe I don't really care about the Jesus stuff. Like, that's not really why I'm listening. I'm just listening to the great music and maybe the spiritual considerations that are going in. That's why I can listen to 21 Pilots. But what about this album? Well, if you've been following my channel, you know that I've been reviewing them for a while. I reviewed Trench when it came out back in the olden days when this channel had a different name. I was listening to the album with my son. He's now 18. And he said, you know, Dad, I like 21 Pilots, but I'm never going to like them more than I did when I was 11 years old. And I think that's fair. I think that for a lot of people, 21 Pilots fits into that kind of My Chemical Romance area of music, where it's like this great welcome to the Black Parade. It's this great welcome to music and to what music can do, but it's sort of a stepping stone towards less poppy, perhaps less glossy music. I don't think that's fair, by the way. It might be fair with My Chemical Romance. I don't think it's fair for them either. I think both of them are just really good examples of very good bands, but it is true that people tend to age out. The fortunate thing is, I was already in my 40s when I started listening to this band, so it's not like I am like a much different person than I was when I first heard Stressed Out. When I was pulling off 490 on the way, University Ave exit, going towards the record archive. Like, I remember where I was the first time I heard 21 Pilots. Like, that's how much it's in my head. I will give my son credit for pointing out that this album reminds him strongly of Hippocampus, one of my favorite indie rock bands, and makes me realize why I like this album. Okay, my daughter still loves them, but like doesn't listen to them, right? And I bet you tell me. Do you feel the same way? Most of my audience is significantly younger than I am. I could sort of see that as being the case. And so this makes me think about this album, right? Because you'll notice I said I love Blurry Face. I think Trench is one of the best albums of the last 10 years. I didn't mention Scaled and Icy. I gave a positive review to Scaled and Icy. It was it was not an icy review. It was a tepidly positive review. I still believe in them as artists. I still believed in them as artists, even at that low point. Strategically, it's actually a good idea to release a clunker of an album at some point so that your audience can reset its expectations, and so that when you come out with something that might sound familiar, it doesn't sound like the clunker, okay? I think that their Unplugged was absolutely outstanding, okay? So anyways, the question is not, is Clancy up to par with Scaled and Icy? The question is it up to par with these two albums? Let me tell you a story. I don't do sponsorships, but I do preach, okay? So if you are a parent and you can afford to have your kids be on a premium streaming service, it is your moral responsibility to pay that every month. Much more than Netflix, much more than HBO, your kids should never have to listen to a commercial for Squarespace in order to listen to music, okay? All that ties into the fact that, we have family membership to Tidal. And I like Tidal because it's a good service and it has this repeat function. So you can just listen to an album on repeat. The problem is, both my kids use Tidal, which means I get this little pink box. My daughter listens to music all the time, so I'm listening to this new album and it gets cut off. Damn it. I have to go to YouTube Music because I also have a family plan there for YouTube Premium. And the thing about what YouTube does is they don't have that repeat function. They have the predictive algorithm, which I hate. I hate all predictive algorithms. I just don't like it. I don't mind it if you like it. I personally don't like it. But what ends up happening is when you listen to an album, a new album, this way, the predictive algorithm creates a thumbs up or thumbs down in your head. Because they always pick a song. And in my mind, I have to think, is what I just heard as good or worse than that? So, what are they going to play at the end of Clancy? Is it going to be Imagine Dragons? Is it going to be, I don't know, some rock band? It was 21 Pilots, the song Stressed Out. So this was an amazing experience for me because I really absorbed this album for the first time, Clancy. I really absorbed Clancy. I got to see where they went. I got to see what they're doing. And then immediately I'm brought right back to the exit off of University Avenue, right near the Record Archive in Rochester, New York. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, what do I think? What is seen? This juxtaposition, this forced juxtaposition. What do I think? And the answer is, I like Clancy more. It's less annoying. It does less of the kind of faux reggae, faux rap stuff, which is a little hard for me. Like, I buy in, so I like it, but there's a little part of me that is just folding his arms and saying, bruh, what are you listening to? What kind of millennial horse hockey is this? Oh my God. You're going to listen to this white dude from Columbus rap about not wanting to cut grass? All right, cool, man. It's cool. Loser. Like, there's a little tiny part of me inside there. And I don't need that at all in this album. So there's definitely growth in this album. It passes the YouTube algorithm random test. And so why? You know, why? I think it's that there's been a lot of growth. Now, the growth is not with Josh Dunn, the drummer. Unfortunately, he's still on a chain. Now, he was removed from the last album, virtually removed from the last album. I didn't feel him anywhere on Scale the Nights, or hardly anywhere. It was very disturbing to me. So this album, he's back again, but he's still not fully there. But obviously, it's about Tyler Joseph's songwriting. Where is he? It's about his singing. He's done a couple things. His melody writing is way better. His singing is way better. Now, I understand a lot of people clown on him because he uses auto-tune. I don't really care, right? If you write good melodies, I don't care if you need computer help to make it work, okay? I mean, whatever. And he uses that kind of rapping voice, talking voice, rapping voice, talking voice a lot more sparingly, which leads to a lot less, to use a youth term, cringy of an album. Now, listen, it's still... I think Tyler Joseph is the most charmingly cringy pop star there is. I mean, even on this album, he has some line like, bite the hand that, put stitches on the hand that feeds or something. There's something about him that's just so charming. And that's the thing that I get. That's that sort of Midwestern, Christian-y, evangelical-y feel. You know, there's a kind of like fresh-faced, innocent cringeness that, in my opinion, is sweet and is worth loving. But it's a little bit less of that here. I was teaching that hip-hop class. I teach French and I teach hip-hop. So the hip-hop class, I asked, is there anybody you can think of? Someone like, let's say, Lauryn Hill, who can sing as well as they can rap. And can do both at the absolute top level. And someone raised their hand and said, what about 21 Pilots? Now listen, was there laughter in the classroom? No. I have a respectful classroom. Did I want to laugh? Well, I didn't want to laugh. I maybe wanted to snort because it's funny to think of 21 Pilots as a rap group, but that wasn't the question. The question was, sorry, I ate popcorn before I did this video. Terrible idea. I got all sorts of like little popcorn jumping around in my mouth. I'll have a sip of water. I don't edit my videos. If this is your first time watching, what's up? It's all good. So, he does rap as well as he sings, right? Like, he sings well and he raps well and he uses rapping to communicate things interestingly and he sings well. I don't think that's a crazy answer to that question. And what's this album about? Well, it's about the difficulty of being a young adult. Now, I'm not a young adult. I'm an adult. I'm a middle-aged adult. I'm not quite an old adult, but I'm getting there. That's cool. It's casual. But it's a lot about, like, the feelings of being in your early 20s, the feelings of being scared. What's going to happen? What am I going to do? What's been the point of all this education? All these kinds of thoughts that you can obsess about. And the album is partly about being in that obsessive space and not being able to get out. Also, it seems like maybe there's a little sort of difficulty of being a family man. So listen, again, please, I know in the comments are probably filled. Actually, Skye, they do not identify as a Christian rock band. You're overgeneralizing. But I appreciate it. I won't erase any comments. If you want to come at me for that, I am probably worthy of being come at it, okay? But the fact, like, there's a feeling of like somebody who's who's really settled down with his wife, and he has a song to her. And like the age that someone settles down can also, like, I'm not making fun of it. I first got married when I was 26. I was young, super young, too young, but I was young, way too young in hindsight. But like, the difficulty of figuring out how to be a stable young man and husband and family man is a whole different set of issues that I think particularly might resonate with a particular audience that might be, I think, Christian Midwestern dudes who grew up listening to 21 Pilots and are here. But I'm overgeneralizing. I'm out over my skis here. Okay, but definitely the difficulty of being a family man is here. So, the thing, yeah, so my son said it reminded him of Hippocampus, and then I realized I think 21 Pilots has become Hippocampus meets the Chainsmokers. I like the Chainsmokers, so you can come at me if you'd like. I think the Chainsmokers is a good band. Always have. Always have. But I think if you kind of mix those together, maybe the Chainsmokers for better and worse, and then Hippocampus for better and worse, another great Midwestern rock band. If you don't know Hippocampus, seriously, get hip to them. Like, I think that's a good mixture. Anyways, if you like my video and you're not too busy typing screeds in the comment section, you can smash the like bucket. You can subscribe. You can join my Patreon, like Hobie1 and Zach, who asked for a shout out on this specific video. They don't like pay more or anything. I just offer shout outs every once in a while if I remember it. If you put in the letters AVAA, I will always heart that comment. It stands for awesome video as always. Or it can stand for awful video as always. I'll still heart it. So let me give you an example of what I love about this album. I think I do love this album. I think so. I think I love it. Like, I think it's great. So that's nice. Because I didn't love Scaled and Icy. I didn't hate it. But I listened to it sort of out of respect for the band. You know what I mean? Sorry, that's the sound of my daughter coming home. I'm doing a video. You can just not yell. Okay. So, my example song, you can click above Skye Pilot over there for my favorite song on the album, Next Semester. And what I love about this is that this is just that hardcore reminder that this is a band, This is a band with a bassist and a drummer. And it's just like, there's other stuff happening, there's other production going on, but it has like that real strength, that reminder that at the heart of this whole thing is not a couple of DJs, not a couple of, multi-instrumentalists who met at Berkeley and put something together. They're not a couple of like hipsters from 3 other bands in Brooklyn who got together. These are all fine things to be, by the way. But they are just 2 dudes from Columbus who know how to play instruments, and they just make it. And they make this. It's like pop. It's like punk. It's somehow not that much like pop punk. I mean, I guess it's sort of Green Day-ish. But like, listen, are you trying to tell me this isn't a good song? Like, take away your prejudices, snob, okay? The version of me that never had kids and hates 21 Pilots, okay? Because if my kids didn't like 21 Pilots, if I turned off, when I was turning on to University Ave to go to Record Archive off 490 in Rochester, New York, if I heard that song and my kids didn't say, I like this, I would have been like, what is this fake reggae garbage? This is trash. So to you, how do you listen to this song and not like it? The chorus is this cool, almost kind of Strokes-like chorus. This very quiet I Remember part with no drums, and the drums build in. There's just so much happening here. It's bass-led, it's drum-led, it's everything. There's even a little millennial woo for you in the bridge. And then lots of nice dynamics. Some acoustic guitar. It's a taste test of what I like less. And then he slowed down and he rolled down his window and he said, can't change what you've done, start fresh next semester. It's a song, okay, I am a college professor. The semester is just over. I have had many students, good students I like, smart, keen, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed students who will make certainly an interesting contribution to civilization and perhaps even society, who just had the worst semester. They didn't show up. They didn't do homework. They didn't do well on the tests. They are just scuffling through. And it hurts because I can relate. It's not like I see these students and think, here's some trash people knocking on my door. I think, here's some people who are probably going through something else. Something else is going on. And whatever it is, they got a part-time job. Some of my students have a full-time job. I work at a public university. Hey, if you have a part-time or full-time job and you passed college at all, you, first of all, are a victim of a society that doesn't care about you. And second of all, you're really kicking ass, okay? Just really give yourself a pat on the back from Professor Skye. That's a very, very difficult thing to do. I didn't do it. I didn't work through college. I was lucky. Fortunate. So those students who come and knock on my door and say, like, just so you know, Professor Skye, I really like this class. I really wanted to do better than I did, but I didn't do it. But I'm going to start fresh next semester. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. You can't do more than that. You just gotta, as you kids like to say, take the L, take the L. Maybe the previous semester was an L as well. You put two L's together, you got a W, okay? You can get one joke per video. That was my joke. Bad usage of a video. L joke. But anyways, so I like that theme because that's the whole point to me of this band is the troubles and difficulties and challenges and joy of being a young adult. Also, it's called graduation, so like maybe there isn't a semester. I go to graduation every year. It's part of the thing you do as a college professor. And, seeing all these students, and they're happy, but they're nervous, and they're trying to figure out what to do. And I got news for you, you cynic, you Professor Skye who didn't have kids and thinks 21 Pilots is trash. There's not enough music that reflects this level of frustration, this level of fear and anxiety about the situation that we're leaving the youth. We need more songs like this. All right? So I got the dogs downstairs. They're barking. It's all right. I just drank way too much water. Okay. So let's go through the album a little bit quicker now. Overcompensate. Hey, 21 Pilots? Did you guys just make a Prodigy song? Did you guys just go into your like big beat techno vibe? Oh my God. That's a big swing, okay? That is what you call a big swing. Because if you try to make a big beat techno song and it doesn't hit, it sounds terrible. This totally hits. Now it starts off with piano and there's some French and I'm excited because I listen to the French and I'm like, God damn it, it's about Dima or trench or some goddamn thing. Welcome back to the trench. Just listen. If you love this stuff, more power to you. I don't make fun of you. It's just not my thing, okay? But, oh my God, these big beats and these real drums. Bring back the blockbusting beats. Why aren't they doing this more? Please, 21 Pilots, go all in. Do a whole album of just giant, big beat, techno crashing. And the singing is just awesome and it slows down. And just gets so badass. And then it's this whole cool theme of like overcompensating, which is one of the main themes that we need to talk about, goddammit. We need to talk about overcompensation. What's wrong with us? Why are we singing more about overcompensating? When I was listening to this album for the first time, I'm walking on my way, listening to it on YouTube Music. I was walking on my way to the gym, and there's this dude who had a truck, okay? It was a GMC Silverado with an extended cab and this hitch that went out about that far. And he parked entirely over the sidewalk. So I legitimately had to squeak by on tiptoes on the sidewalk so that this minuscule man could own his truck. Okay? Now listen, if you need a Chevy Silverado with a lift hitch, props. But if you have one and you don't need it, overcompensate. Okay, it's hard feeling small. It is. I used to have a truck. I felt small. I had a truck. I'm not better than anybody. I'm just older than some people, okay? But oh my God. So and of course he had a Blue Lives Matter bumper sticker. That's neither here nor there, okay? On the left, on the right, we all feel small. We all try to overcompensate. I like the idea of like overcompensating with like zebra stripes from Adidas and this cool kind of modular, and it kind of talks about a soul and corazon and the whole song, a little bit of rapping. And what's great is that so I listen to a lot of music with my baby as well. So I have a 20-month-old baby. She's downstairs. You might hear her. And I have these teenagers, so I have this, and she is the next 21 Pilots super fan because she loves this album except for one song. She hates one song, but she loves most of this album. And this song she made me listen to on repeat. And she doesn't know how to jump or dance, really. She doesn't know how to move her feet yet. So she just does this. So she's just doing this to overcompensate just over and over again with her hands like that, all right? So you want to do the Baby Prof Skye? That's how you dance to this song, okay? If they're going on tour again, I will go and see them. I'll go see them hopefully at the KeyBank Arena in Buffalo. Great place to see rock shows. Then we get to The Stamp, which was next semester, the second song, and then we get to Backslide. That's the song my baby didn't like. So maybe because it's too rap-like? I don't know. It's got a cool outro, but I'm just going to skip it out of respect for my baby. The next track is called Midwest Indigo. For some reason, this is what I wrote on my notes. You can read it right there. Shut up if you don't like this song. I don't know why I wrote that. That's way too aggressive. Maybe it's the swirling sounds or the synth lead or the kind of pop punk thing. Maybe it's this drum beat where the snares on the 2 and the 4, but the bass drum is doing this cool kind of like delayed stutter. So it's like it's just really great drumming, great drum beat, breaks in these fun kind of upbeat sounds, and it's all about like being from the Midwest and how tough it is starting a car when it's cold. Listen, if you're from Arizona, that's awesome. That's sweet. You're from Florida, that's cool. You're from Texas, awesome, right? But if you're from anywhere where it gets cold in the winter, like that is a recurrent theme of your life, which is just like for 6 months of the year, like you wake up and you think about going out to your car, and there's just a little part of you that just goes, all right, it did the frost thing where it's covered up and then it's going to be too cold and I'm going to have to wait. And that's what I'm talking about here, okay? He's not talking about systematic oppression. He's not talking about I assume he's sober, okay? He feels very sober. So he's not giving himself lifelong diseases through addiction that he gets to sing about to make himself seem more interesting. What's he going to sing about? Well, he's going to sing this song about this kind of sense of loneliness and coldness that that's pervasive all over the exurbian hellscape that is the American Midwest, okay? We get to talk about that too. I requested counsel with the counselor and he canceled twice. Ty Joe, are you trying to do my service for me? I don't accept sponsorships, but I do tell you that you should probably not rely on BetterHelp. You should probably not rely on online counselors if you can avoid it. If you go to college, rely on your college counselors. Go to the health center immediately. If you have health insurance at all, they all have websites that tell you who is in network, okay? Try to get better. The problem is, I requested counsel with a counselor and he canceled twice. That is the sad reality. Often, they are overburdened and there's a long wait. So this is a song that actually talks about like one of the most important things facing young people these days, the lack of access to mental health resources. Despite the fact we're talking about it more, I can't tell you how many students. Remember, I talked before about the students who knocked on my door and said, Professor Skye, I don't know what's going on. I love your class. I love the subject, but I try and do homework and I just want to shove the pencil through my eye and fall asleep. Okay? Have you thought about going to counseling? Well, you just ask. You don't say you should. Just have you asked? Yes, I have their next appointment, and it's in 3.5 years. I graduate in 2 months. Okay? That kind of stress, that kind of difference, that kind of delay, that is a sad reality that we have. Which is why we need to support more mental health issues. Okay. The bridge is cool and catchy, kind of a hook. Then we get Routines in the Night, sort of what I would call, there's a lot of very solid filler on this album. So, when you say filler, it sounds like you're being, I don't know, one of those sort of, pretentious music crickets, but it's very solid. And I like this because he's talking about being lonely and just kind of walking around and being lost in his own mind and not being able to sleep. I have an answer for you. If you are walking the layout, the Routines in the Night, some doors stay out, spray painted in white, while all the world's asleep, I walk around instead through the memories down the halls of my head. I feel you, okay? I have a terrible time getting to sleep, and I have my entire life. But might I suggest to you, where are they? I had them here, it's one of my props. Might I suggest to you, headphones? Seriously. Okay, a lot of people use drugs. I used to... So I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. But every once in a while I'd get a cold. And I knew if I had a cold, I could have NyQuil. And I would get excited for having a cold because then I would give myself permission to drink NyQuil. And then I would get a goddamn easy night of sleep. Or I wouldn't just be sitting in my mind just thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. That was until I discovered this stuff, man. You get this and a good podcast, okay? Might I suggest The Rise and Fall of... what's the name of the podcast I'm listening to now? The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill. It's about a church, actually, a whole evangelical church. Very on brand here, that rose and fell. Great podcast. You put it in with a 10-minute timer, 15-minute timer, depending on how you're doing, and you just fall asleep. Just put it in one ear. Listen to the person talk. Drown out your thoughts. You don't need drugs, and you don't need to walk around the halls. Just find a podcast that doesn't have a lot of invasive commercials. Next song is called Vignette. A nice little song, kind of upbeat, sort of sounds almost like a musical song. I like the vulture sound. I assume it's a vulture in the back cawing. Clinging to promises, fighting off the vignette. Tunnels cave, visions fade, swallowed by the vignette. That's sort of like typical Tyler Joseph, not awesome lyrics. Kind of like awkwardly made. But I like at the end, it's not for me, it's for a friend. Denial. Again, these are just like very simple lyrics that are important to say. True story. I have recently, in one of my most successful videos, referenced a friend. And I was totally talking about myself. And I thought I made it clear, but I don't think many people picked up on it. So there you go. So if you ever hear about a friend who went to Columbus, Ohio for some very bizarre reasons in the future, you'll know that's me. Whew, man. Weird place. Your weapons? Need them? You will not. All right. The Craving is the next song, and I love this song. This is what I'm talking about with growth. Acoustic guitar and voice. It's kind of a goofy song, but it's a crucial break with the kind of overproduction of everything else. We just have him with his singing, and it's a love song to his wife, but it's not just a love song. It's a love. The truth about love is that it's hard. Okay? The truth about love is even if you have an easy relationship, and I have an easy relationship. I'm very lucky with that. Even if you do, it's still hard. It's still a lot of work. It's still, I hope I communicate the cravings, I hope I communicate how much I love you and want you. You know how common it is. If you're in a good marriage, just the other day I said to my wife, hey, did you know we're going to be together even after our kids leave? You and I are going to be together forever. Isn't that great? But like that kind of like you just forget it because you're doing 1,000 things and you're putting the kids and you're taking them to practice, you're driving them to their internship or you're changing their diapers, whatever it is. Not all at the same time, right? So I love this. As somebody who thinks that there needs to be more song. 21 Pilots is writing about a lot of things that there needs to be more songs written about. Did I let her know if I found my body in chains, I'd lay down and wait and hope she looks for me? That's just how I feel. Oh boy, now the dogs are barking. It's okay. Let's take a little break here. So the one that's going, that's Toby. The one that sounds like an angry walrus, that's Bo. Now I see that intentions don't mean much. I really like that line as well. It's very mature. This is a very mature album, which I like. Lavish is sort of the counterpart to the opening track, To Overcompensate, it's all about sort of like welcome to the new way of living, lavish from floor to ceiling. It's nice. I like kind of anti-ostentatious lyrics. I like that a lot. This great kind of bass line anchoring, the weird instrumentation, this cool descending melody. Get that penny loafer squeak across the linoleum, big flex complex Napoleon. I say whatever and whatever I want. Sip a Capri Sun like it's Dom Perignon. Man, I cannot. Capri Sun have thwarted me many times. My lifelong battle with Capri Sun. I'm Clancy and Capri Sun is Dima, because I try to drink that damn thing and the straw goes straight through. Right through. And then I squeeze while I do that, so I don't get the Capri Sun, but there's juice everywhere. Okay, navigating, full kind of 80s synth fun, double hi-hat sounds. I like hearing Josh going kind of crazy here. This sort of reminds me of Duran Duran in a nice way. Cool, like, vocal synths kind of burping around in the back, and My Oh My is a nice way to start. Pop punk bass. It sounds like he's playing with a pick, which is a nice idea here. And a very relatable chorus, again. I'm navigating in my head. Again, it feels to me like a lot of what he's trying to sing about is the feeling of being trapped in your mind. I think, you know what? Hey, I'm going to go on a little thing here, okay? I talk a lot on this channel about, like, not doing drugs. But part of the reason why I talk about it is not because I think it's bad. I understand. Because, like, having never really done drugs and very rarely changing my brain chemistry, it's hell, man. Like, having all these thoughts, like, the idea you could do something to just, like, chill the thoughts down, to just take it down a notch, you know? That's alluring, okay? You know, I still think it's a comically bad idea, but it's not because it's unrelatable. I totally understand. Like, having to navigate your head, part of the things that drugs do means you don't have to navigate your head. You're navigating the space in between music or whatever the hell you do, right? Okay. Am I somehow simultaneously saying drugs are bad and drugs are good at the same time? We'll see. Truth is, drugs, all things are lawful, not all things are expedient. That's my favorite passage from the Bible, by the way. Snapback has these kind of sweet synths, warbled voice. Like, I like the way the voices are doubled and things are kind of repeated, and it keeps on saying, if I'm going to snap next, I have to snap back. What I like here is he's praying for elasticity. So as a 46-year-old man, I can tell you, my fellow 46-year-old Tom Brady is correct. The most important thing is not strength, it's flexibility. It's one of the reasons I have this channel, so I can listen to new music and keep my mind flexible. The praise that you snap back. Like, I've been praying for my elasticity to return to the way it was. If you're young, that's the main thing you have. It's not strength, it's not even energy, although there's that too. It's elasticity. Oldie Station is this like, okay. Like, they're a great band. That's why I keep saying it. They're a great band. I can defend them much easier than I can defend Chainsmokers, who I will defend, but still. The only consistency in your peripheral is the fear and the bridge of your nose. That's awesome. I don't know do I see the bridge of my nose? And I see the end of my nose. But I don't have a very pronounced bridge. I used to think I had a super long nose, and then I stopped caring. Anyways. The corny king, right? There's a corny lyric, but it's awesome. And has this sort of millennially fear of the past and relative pain. It's nice. It's catchy. And I like it too because it's called Oldie Station, like 103.3 WODS in Boston. But it's not really like, you know, one of their talk to your grandparents kind of song. It's just this kind of inspirational song. Add some years, build some trust, you start to feel your eyes adjust. When darkness rolls on, you push on through. Thank you. Between this, Rhapsody, and Vince Staples, this has been a ridiculously uplifting week. If you're just listening to these people making music, you are like, I can do it. You are Rob Schneider, okay? You can do it. almost like a Daft Punky post-chorus sound here with this cool harpsichord. He says it's about his audience. That makes sense. Then we have what appears to be a blurry face outtake called At the Risk of Feeling Numb. I like this because they're sort of like, oh, you like the blurry face thing? Okay, we can do that. Yeah, here, we'll just make a song that sounds like that. Kind of a circusy sound, almost like a James Brown funky drummer sound, then becomes sort of a offbeat faux reggae thing, kind of different and cool, becomes very epic. It turns out the song's about friendship, which makes sense, which I like. Again, there needs to be more songs about friendship, more songs about the difficulty of mature love with your wife or spouse, you know. And then a full 21 Pilots rap verse. Whoever it is that's outside, I'm almost done. Okay. Sorry, it puts a lot of tax on my family when I do these videos. That's why I record in my bedroom studio, so they can have room for the rest of the house. The album ends with Paladin Straight. A beautiful ending. Warbled synths and birds, then becomes this kind of croonery romantic song with this great melody. Between this and the previous song, and At the Risk of Feeling Dumb, this is where I really understood his skill at writing complicated yet accessible melodies. Like extended melodies, because, you know, I mean, I can write a simple melody right now, you know. You know, kind of a simple melody. But his melodies, they tend to kind of go places. They do interesting things. The drums are kind of simple. The song is almost like a folksy old-time English song. And after starting this whole video with the concept that I hate all the lore, I am now going to be a little sympathetic to the lore, okay? Because it happens to tie into something that I have studied and I care about. So this is what he's describing. I guess the Paladin Straight, a paladin, I believe, is the name of an old Christian knight. So that's like the little map that they have of Dima and Trench and I don't know, all this stuff. So the Paladin Straight is supposed to be in there. What I like about this is how much it reminds me of something from the 17th century that was made by these women who'd get together in Parisian salons and just sort of talk about life and literature. It's called La Carte du Tendre, the card of the map of like for sensitive people, for tender people. And it's got, you know, all these kind of explanations. You know, this is the lake of indifference. That's the dangerous ocean of passion. And here we have sort of like probité and little care and little sweet words here. So, you know, I guess I don't mind the map making of it all. And also, I need to admit something. Because, you know, it comes back. The song ends and there's these birds that play. And then they come back and it's all like, I'm Bandito and you were Nico and I'm back with the trench and all that stuff. I'm a hypocrite, okay? I'm a hypocrite because when I was 15 years old, I rented the movie The Song Remains the Same by Led Zeppelin with my friend Ben, okay? If you've never seen it, it's a great concert film. Some of it was recorded on a soundstage, but most of it was a show, I think, at Madison Square Garden. And they have these interstitial fantasy parts where it's like John Bonham driving in a Rolls Royce, or like Jimmy Page has this like weird, mysterious, like death-like figure. And Robert Plant is like someone like playing with a horse. It's all these weird sort of fantasy scenes. And my friend Ben and I spent till like 4 o'clock in the morning. We had notebooks and we were trying to like figure out what it all meant. We tried to tie it all together. A decade later, I would hear an interview with Robert Plant. And he'd be like, we IFRS. I didn't mean nothing. We just filmed whatever the fuck off was in our brains. None of it meant anything. So listen, if I was 13, I was 14, I was getting into rock music, and I discovered 21 Pilots, and I could recognize that they are better than other rock bands. And I'm not quite at the point of where I'm going to reject them because I think that they're too clean and too nice and they're not hip enough. I could see really getting into it. So even though I don't personally like it, I totally get it if you do. That was a very bad Robert Plant impersonation, by the way. These are my Patreons. They give me money so I can buy music. I don't know if I'm going to buy this album. I can't tell. I think I may, because just I really enjoy listening to it. But I don't know if my kids... Well, you know, my baby likes it. So there you go. So they might be helping me with that. All right. Well, thank you all for watching. Did you like this album? You can tell me. I mean, that's like a typical call-out kind of thing. But I'll do it. I don't care. Tell me in the comments if you know who this is. There's the camera.